Oh, man. What do you say? What kind of an introduction was that? Thank you, Pastor. Well, good evening. How are you? Well, good. Hey, listen, I think maybe I finally figured this out. You know, I was trying to put together this, like a training thing from going to Miami down to the Caribbean and then on to South America. We got the use of this freighter, and we were going to put some buses that maybe you can buy me a few more, since that seems to be your gift. So we're going to put some buses on this freighter, and then I was going to do like a kind of a leadership conference on the freighter. And I could not get one person to sign up to go on this ship with me. Well, then I figured it out. Because the only thing that has not happened to me, it's true, I have not been shipwrecked. Everything else has happened. So everybody's smart. They're going, if he's on the boat, I ain't going. So if any of you have any guts and you want to go on this freighter, you let me know, all right? I don't know if anybody does, but so, hey, and for those of you that were here this morning, just for the benefit of those of you that questioned my intellect, even though I've almost got my doctorate, somebody questioned me on the word or extraordinariness. So there is such a thing. This lady here gave me this paper and says there is such a word. So, for those of you that thought that guy's crazy, well, that may be, but at least I got the word right. Anyways, so thank you, sister. I appreciate that. Hey, when you came in, many of you that are here tonight were not here this morning, so you got your calendar. Please take this with you. Do not leave it in the auditorium. I know that everybody comes through here, all the guest speakers and all the folks always ask you to pray for them. Forget those people. Do not pray for them. Pray for me. God knows I need it. Look at this. I need your prayers, folks. This is a big year for us, all right? And we were talking about VUCA Vision. Why did I put VUCA Vision on the calendar? I was in Africa last year. For those of you that were not here this morning, we just started First Metro Ministries in Africa. And we were in a conversation with a couple of Zulu pastors. They were kind of speaking Zulu, speaking English, kind of going in and out. And then one of them was complaining about why the government would not help him with his church. So the other pastor looked at him and kind of yelled at him and said, Vuka uzenzeli. And when I'm in these other countries and they say kind of neat words, like what was that thing you did today? The roll. Bop. It was a bop. What is that? A bop is a roll. It's not a bop. It's a roll. No, she can't interpret that. Don't even bother. It's just, it's one of these dumb things that doesn't make sense. It's a bop. It's a bread roll. Where do you guys come up with this stuff? Anyways, I will remember that though. It's kind of a cool little word. I'll use that somewhere. But he said, Vuka uzenzeli. And I said, what does that mean? And it means shut up and do it yourself. So I've got shut up vision for this year. Instead of complaining, instead of griping about it, shut up, wake up, and do it yourself. So please put this up in your home. Our address for New York, as well as the website. And my email address is on the website. Many of you were asking questions at the back table. So I'm going to try to address those for just a couple of seconds. My email is on the website. I do answer my own emails, which is kind of interesting. So that's kind of fun. But when I was in Africa, we put together these 3 CDs, which I didn't mention this morning, which were 3 messages built around this whole conversation with those African pastors of VUCA Vision. So we have some of those at the back that folks were asking about. Also, some other CDs. Somebody said, when they saw the CDs, they said, is this you singing? I'll slap you myself. No, it's not me singing. These are messages, so don't get excited. I'm not going to be joining the choir anytime soon. But then you all knew that. And many of you sponsored children this morning. Thank you. As always, you guys always step up to the plate when I'm here and help. If you were not here this morning, please stop by the table. I will be around as long as I need to be tonight to get a chance to meet you, talk with you. The pictures of the children from New York that need to be sponsored, as well as kids in the Philippines. I didn't spend a lot of time talking about it this morning because I didn't want to cut into the preaching time. But folks, the reason why I am so passionate about our one-by-one sponsorship program, for those of you that know me, know I was this kid. I was this kid. I was the kid left on the corner. The Christian man picked me up. Most of you know the story. And the reason why I have done my best over these years to get these kids sponsored, get them connected with people from around the world, Christian folks that will say, you may not be able to change a village, you may not be able to change a country, but you can take one. And that's what this program is. It's a Sunday school class. It's a business. We just had a fella in Seattle. He just sponsored his 150th child. He sponsored 150 kids through his business. When you walk into their business in Seattle, he's got all the pictures of the kids up and down the halls in the business. So this is a man, obviously, that can do more, and he's doing it. But most of the sponsorship is just by one person, a family. We had 2 kids last year in New York. The mother's a crackhead. It's a big mess. They got kicked out of the homeless shelter. They ended up living on the subway train. And the kids were sponsored, but because they're now living on the train, we lost track of them. Finally, one of our staff members caught up with the kids, called a sponsor who lived in Louisiana. And they said, please pray for these kids. You're their sponsors. They're out of school. They're not eating. They're living on the train. Sponsor said, no, we're not going to pray for them. And our staff member was a little bit shocked. And they said, get them to LaGuardia Airport. There'll be 2 e-tickets and 1 for the mother if she wants to come. We're going to fly them to our place in Louisiana. We'll get the kids in school. We'll take care of them. And they've been in Louisiana in school. The little girl won the Princess of her Class award. And so that's the great thing about the one-by-one sponsorship program. As the sponsor, you can be as involved in the life of the child as you choose to be. So it's £15 a month. If you can do that, we'll be at the back. Our staff is back there. And so please take a minute to stop by. And a pastor's message, as he said, beginning next Sunday night, is God, when God seems obnoxious. I didn't know that's what he was doing, but tonight is going to be the introduction. Okay, it won't be as good as next Sunday, but I think it could be the introduction. So hopefully that will kind of maybe lay a foundation. I didn't know what he was going to preach, but I was kind of working on this afternoon, and it seemed kind of where I wanted to go. So hopefully that will set the foundation for next Sunday night. And I want you to open very quickly to the book of Mark, if you will. The Gospel of Mark, chapter number 8. Mark chapter number 8. And I guess if there was a title, it's not as good a title as his message. I was trying to come up with a title for it today. And I guess the title would have to be, what do you do when Jesus doesn't work? Not as good as his title, but it's something I've had to deal with this past year, not just in New York City, but as pastor deals with all the time here. I do a lot of counseling with people in the ministry, not so much in New York, but when I'm out on the field, there's a lot of folks, staff people, people in ministry at one level or another, that come to me, and because I guess I've lived through so much adversity and so much struggle that people feel like I've got this inside track on how to survive.